Now, Herzl did not really believe that all Jews in the world were going to go to this state, but he did believe that that state would, like Pinsker believed, change the existential position of the Jews. Now, Herzl also believed that that state would be a European liberal state. It would be German-speaking, of course, because you can't even order a train ticket in Hebrew. There would be cafes, very civilized cafes, just as in Vienna. There would be a 7-hour day. Women would have equal rights. There would be freedom of religion, but the rabbis wouldn't be too powerful, God forbid. And Herzl really saw this as just a little corner of Europe in the middle of the Middle East. Now, he also thought the Arabs really won't be a problem. After all, who could object to a gentrifying neighborhood? The Jews will come in, they'll develop the country, they'll make it more attractive. The Arabs won't object. And besides, the Jews and the Arabs are cousins. So just as it's a win-win with the Turks, it's a win-win with the Arabs. And he believed, by the way, correctly, that the ultimate future of this Jewish state would not rest on agriculture. He never bought into this idea that Jews should become rustics and peasants, but he thought that this state would be a center of technology and science, and that would guarantee its economic security. In 1897, Herzl decided that he was going to organize the first Zionist Congress. He was the Messiah. He didn't call himself the Messiah, but he saw himself as the self-appointed leader of the Jewish people. And he already made contacts with a few Jewish emigres from Russia in Germany who supported the Zionist cause. He made contacts with Zionist students. And so he decided there would be a Congress to organize the Zionist movement, and it would take place in Basel, Switzerland. To his shock, he found out that his advance man had rented a beer hall for the Congress. We cannot begin a Jewish state in a beer hall. And so he pulled out his checkbook, rented the Basel Casino, one of the most expensive and elegant buildings in the town. He knew that while in town, he should make an appearance at Shul. He knew that if he went to Shul, he'd be called up to the Torah. So he practiced saying the blessings so that it appeared that he knew them by heart. And then, as he saw the first delegates coming off the train, looking like not very elegantly dressed, he decreed that there be a dress code at the Congress. Because after all, we have to show that we're a people with class. And he writes in his diary, guiding intellects must simply put on the hat and lead the way. Then the others will follow along with admiration and devotion. Do they admire the intellect? No, they admire the hat and the courage it took to put it on. When he comes into the hall, for 15 minutes they cheer, Yechi HaMelech, Yechi HaMelech, long live the king, long live the king. Herzl finally quiets them down and says, if we really want it badly enough, we can have a Jewish state in 50 years, within 50 years. Now you add 50 to 1897, and you get 1947. If a people cannot help itself, it can't be helped at all. Now, Herzl understood leadership. He understood that to be a leader, it's not enough to write pamphlets. It's not enough to give speeches. You have to be able to act. You have to be able to convey a sense of drama, a sense of purpose. You have to be able to put on the hat. And that's what Herzl did. And he now founded a movement with a Congress with an executive committee with dues, the shekel, and the immediate purpose of the movement was to collect money and then open negotiations with Turkey. The Second Congress had 400 delegates, and Herzl was now feeling the pressure, like he roused all these messianic expectations. And what have you done for me lately, right? There's still no Palestine. He finally gets to see the Sultan of Turkey. The Sultan of Turkey kind of plays him. He gives him a third-rate medal, but he's really using Herzl to get a better loan from somebody else. And Herzl is fobbed off. But to show you how dedicated Herzl is, when Herzl hears that the Kaiser of Germany is coming to Palestine, Herzl hops on a boat and beats the Kaiser to Palestine so he could stand on the Jaffa-Jerusalem road, standing in the broiling sun, just so that when the Kaiser goes by on his horse, Herzl can talk to him. And there's a doctored photograph of Kaiser Wilhelm talking to Theodor Herzl. After the Kishinev pogrom, with the killing of 43 Jews, which shocked the world, Herzl became increasingly worried about the imminent, immediate future of the Jews, especially in Russia and Eastern Europe. He decided he would go speak to the Russian Minister of the Interior, Pleva, who many suspected wrongly of having organized the pogrom. To many Jews, Herzl's going to see Pleva would have been the same as if the leader of the American Jewish Committee in 1972 decided to go see Yasser Arafat. But Herzl said, no, I'll do anything I can to save Jews. And when the train went through Vilna in the middle of the night on the way to St. Petersburg, 50,000 Jews mobbed the station in the middle of the night, yelling, Yechi HaMelech, long live the king. Now, those Jews were either going to go to America or go somewhere else. They weren't going to Palestine, but they had heard of Herzl, and they saw in Herzl a leader. Nothing came of the Pleva meeting, and then England offered the possibility of Uganda. And Herzl, after a lot of thought, said, you know, let's take it. We'll use Uganda as a Nachtazil, kind of like a Motel 6, a place to spend the night. Herzl believed that there was an imminent physical danger facing the Jews, and something was better than nothing. If we can't get Palestine now, we'll settle for Uganda. And Herzl's willingness to settle for Uganda caused a firestorm of outrage in the Zionist movement, especially the East European Zionists. For the most part, saw Herzl as having betrayed Zionism by turning his back on Palestine. Many, like Ahad Ha'am, who I'll talk about in a minute, said, you see, we told you, this guy was a charlatan. Herzl, however, saw Zionism as a movement to save Jews, as people, not as a movement to save Judaism and Jewish culture. And in that sense, he believed, take what you can get. At the Sixth Congress, Herzl was reviled in 1904. He had to back down from the Uganda scheme, which was never really serious anyway. And then on July 3rd, 1904, at the age of 44, he died of heart trouble. And thousands showed up for the funeral in Vienna. In my mind, it's no accident that David Ben-Gurion, in the early period of the state, one of the first things he did was to reinter Herzl in Jerusalem on Har Herzl, on Mount Herzl. David Ben-Gurion correctly understood the importance of Herzl's legacy.